Every single morning for 5 months, I woke up already nauseous. Before my feet even touched the floor, my stomach would twist like it was rejecting me from the inside. I couldn't keep food down. Sometimes water wouldn't stay down. I lost 35 pounds without trying. My hair started falling out in clumps in the shower. I remember standing there, staring at it stuck to the drain, thinking, this doesn't happen to people who are fine. Because that's what the doctors kept telling me. 3 different doctors. Blood work. Scans. Tests I didn't even understand the names of. Every result came back normal. One of them smiled, and said, "For your age, you're remarkably healthy." As if that explained why I felt like I was disappearing. Then, one afternoon, everything changed in a place I never expected. I was in a small antique shop, killing time, when the owner noticed a watch on my wrist. It was a beautiful thing. Heavy, old-fashioned, the kind of craftsmanship you don't see anymore. He asked if he could take a closer look. The moment he turned it over, the color drained from his face. He grabbed my wrist. "Take this off," he said. Not loudly, not calmly either. Urgent, almost frightened. "Take this off right now." And when he showed me what was inside the watch, I finally understood why I'd been getting sick. Before I go any further, I want to say this directly to you. I'm genuinely grateful you're here. Tell me in the comments what made you click on this video. Was it the illness? The watch? The warning? Your comment actually helps this story reach older relatives and loved ones who may need to hear it. And that matters more than you realize. Now, one important thing before we continue. This account includes fictional elements crafted for storytelling and educational value. The goal here isn't just to entertain. It's to make you pay attention. Because what happened to me is something most people would never think to look for until it's too late. It all started on my 60th birthday. I didn't want to celebrate. It had been 2 years since my wife, Margaret, passed away, and birthdays without her felt like reminders of what was missing. I planned to spend because you're sad. So there was a cake, a few candles, awkward smiles, and then, unexpectedly, the doorbell rang. It was my son. Trevor. He'd been scarce for the past 6 months. Always busy. Always a reason he couldn't make it. So seeing him standing there, suddenly attentive, caught me off guard. He walked in holding a small black velvet box. "Happy birthday, Dad." Inside was a watch. Expensive. Heavy. The kind of gift that makes you uncomfortable because you know it costs too much. I laughed and told him he shouldn't have. He shook his head, his voice wavering just slightly. "You taught me that time is the most valuable thing we have. I wanted you to have something that reminds you of that." It was a beautiful speech, the kind that sound heartfelt enough to quiet your doubts. Then he said something strange. "Promise me you'll wear it every day," he said. "Don't take it off." I hesitated. Melissa shifted beside me. I caught something pass across her face. Surprise, maybe suspicion. But she said carefully, "Very generous. Dad deserves it." Her arms were crossed. Trevor didn't notice, or pretended not to. His eyes kept drifting to my wrist that I promised. "I'll wear it every day. I promise." His whole face relaxed, like I'd handed him something precious as he left. He paused at the door and looked back one last time. "You're wearing it, right?" he asked. "The watch." I held up my wrist. And from that day on, I never took it off. The first morning it happened, I thought it was food poisoning. I barely made it to the bathroom. Violent, uncontrollable sickness. Cold sweat soaking through my shirt. My hand sometimes twice a day. He asked questions that felt caring, but oddly precise. Are you nauseous in the morning or later? Any fatigue? Dizziness? Weakness? Then, always, without fail, you're still wearing the watch, right? Of course, I'd say, I promise. By the third week, the belt I'd worn for years needed another notch. By the fourth, another, I'd lost 8 pounds without trying. Melissa noticed immediately. Dad, she said one afternoon, studying my face, you look awful. I'm just not hungry. I told her, waving it off. Saying it out loud made it sound manageable. Temporary. Trevor showed up that weekend with groceries. Chicken soup, crackers, ginger ale. It looked like kindness. It felt like care. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have such a thoughtful son. Then I went to wash my hands, and he practically lunged for the sink. Careful, he said, too sharply. That watch isn't fully waterproof. You could damage it. The intensity startled me that I laughed it off, but later, when Melissa pulled me aside, her voice dropped. Doesn't seem weird that Trevor is suddenly so involved? I snapped back faster than I meant to. Your brother's just trying to help. She looked unconvinced, hurt even, and when Trevor brushed it off, called her paranoid, I sided with him. Watching her face fall still makes my chest ache. The more she questioned him, the more determined I became to defend him. By the end of the month, I weighed 158 pounds. 17 pounds gone. My eyes looked hollow. My shirts hung off me like they belonged to someone else. That's when Dr. Porter got involved. He examined me carefully, ordered a battery of tests, and frowned at the numbers. Trevor insisted on sitting in during the appointment. He leaned forward, nodding, asking questions. What exactly are you looking for? What would cause rapid weight loss like this? A week later, Dr. Porter called. Everything was normal. Blood work, liver, kidneys, ultrasound, all fine. I stared at the phone after we hung up, feeling like my body was betraying me in a way I couldn't explain. How could everything be normal when I felt like I was dying? He referred me to a gastroenterologist. I in the car afterward. Trevor asked more questions, specific ones, about timing, patterns, when you feel sick. Every single morning, I said. Every morning, he repeated softly, like he was filing it away. Melissa called that night. Dad, she said gently, he barely visited twice in the 6 months before your birthday. I felt myself bristle. People change. He's being a good son. There was a pause. Then she sighed. You're right. I'm sorry. But that night, lying awake, I couldn't stop thinking about the timing. The second month blurred into third. My reflection became unfamiliar. My face looked almost skeletal. Dark circles ringed my eyes like bruises. My hair thinned so much I could see my scalp under bathroom light. 25 pounds gone in 3 months. One afternoon, my neighbor Mrs. Henderson smiled at me from across the sidewalk, then stopped mid-step as she got closer. Her smile faded into concern she couldn't hide. Seeing her reaction scared me more than any diagnosis. More doctors, same results. Doctor. Helen Rodriguez performed an endoscopy. Your digestive tract is completely normal. A neurologist ordered MRIs, balance tests. No tumors, no lesions, no neurological disorders. An oncologist reviewed everything. No evidence of cancer anywhere. They started suggesting stress, trauma, psychological causes related to my wife's death. I snapped. I'm not imagining this, I said. I've lost 35 pounds. This isn't in my head. When I told Trevor, they thought I was crazy. Something flickered across his face. Disappointment, maybe, or relief. I couldn't tell. Maybe it's just aging, he said. Maybe there really isn't anything wrong. The words sounded wrong. Flat, like he was done pretending to care. That night was the worst yet. Endless vomiting. A headache that felt like my skull was splitting open. At 3 a.m, shaking and weak, I made a decision I couldn't explain that I had to get out of the house. IT felt like a tomb, and that desperate need to escape is what saved my life. I don't remember deciding where to drive that morning. I just knew I couldn't stay in the house anymore. I parked downtown and started walking, aimless, weak, my reflection flashing back at me in dark windows. Sunken eyes, grayish skin, a stranger staring back. Then I saw it at a quiet block, old storefronts, and one window filled entirely with watches and clocks, time. Everywhere, something pulled me toward that door. Call it instinct, call it fate. Maybe it was something more. The bell chimed as I stepped inside. The air smelled like old wood, metal, polish, and history. My knees nearly buckled, and I grabbed a display case to steady myself. From the back emerged an older man, mid-60s, silver hair, kind eyes that didn't miss much. "Franklin Pierce," he said gently. "You all right?" He noticed the watch immediately. "May I ask where you got that?" 5 months ago, I said. Everything changed. He looked at my face, not the watch. "You've been sick," he said. "Your eyes are yellowing. Your skin's pale. You're trembling." Then quietly, "And that watch." 42 years of experience, he told me. Enough to know when something was wrong. For the first time since my birthday, I hesitated. Slowly, I unclasped it. Franklin examined it with a jeweler's loupe, frowning. "The weight's not right." He opened the back with a specialized tool. Inside was a hidden compartment. A tiny sealed glass capsule. "Clear liquid, MY stomach dropped. This was custom made," he said. "Designed for slow release. Microscopic perforations. When body heat warms it, vapor escapes over time." He swallowed. "I've only seen this a few times. Never for good reasons." The room spun. "How long have you been sick?" 5 months. And suddenly everything rushed back. Trevor's insistence. The promise. The panic about water. The daily calls. The disappointment when tests came back normal. "My son," I whispered. "My own son gave me this." Franklin's voice was steady, compassionate. "If you keep wearing that, you won't survive much longer." He drove me straight to the police. Detective Mitchell listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said 5 words I hadn't heard in months. "We believe you, Mr. Bennett." The watch became evidence. I was taken to the hospital. Melissa was called. "I knew something was wrong," she cried. "I knew." Trevor called that night. "Which hospital?" he asked too quickly. "I'll come right now." "No visitors," I said, staring at the watch sealed in an evidence bag. Then the question, the one he always asked. "You're still wearing the watch, right?" "Yes." I lied. "I promise." 48 hours later, the lab confirmed it. Thallium. 5 months of accumulation in my hair shafts alone. The doctor told me 2 more months and my organs would have failed. They uncovered everything. The debts, the forged insurance policy, the planning. The arrest came that night. AT trial. Trevor never showed remorse. When the judge sentenced him to 25 years, he didn't look back. Not once. That was a year ago and I'm standing in my kitchen now, making breakfast. No nausea, no shaking. I weigh 170 again. My hair grew back. Therapy helps. Healing takes time. Melissa and I have dinner twice a week. I don't take that time for granted anymore. Franklin and I have coffee once a month. I call him my guardian angel, and I tell this story for one reason. Watch for the warning signs. Sudden attention, overly generous gifts, pressure, isolation, insistence you use something constantly. Trust your instincts. Healthy caution isn't paranoia that if something feels wrong, investigate. Ask for help. Don't dismiss concerns just because someone tells you you're overreacting. Your life might depend on it. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and remember, some stories are told not just to be heard, but to protect.